2007's evaluation contest. Jean knows firsthand the value of achieving excellence in both your personal and professional lives. She also knows the value of giving and receiving evaluations that really rock. If you want to grow as a speaker and see your fellow Toastmasters grow, listen in as Jean presents Rock Your Evaluation. Prepare to be inspired, motivated, and most of all equipped to offer your own rocking evaluations. Stay tuned. You and your Toastmaster Club will never be the same.
Rock your evaluation today.
Yeah!
Awesome! Okay, first of all, can anybody tell me why you joined Toastmasters? Personal development, is that what I heard? Yeah. Okay, any other reason?
Overcome the fear of public speaking.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Be a better public speaker. There you go.
Improve my listening skills.
Oh, that's a good one. That's one I haven't heard yet. Improve listening skills, and don't we do that? Especially as evaluators. That's where we really learn those listening skills. And when we have great evaluations, that grows us, not only the speaker, but as a club. Now, one reason that evaluations are so important is because we interact with people daily. And because we interact with people, we need the skills that Toastmasters can give us in order to deal with those people more effectively. Have you ever gotten some feedback that really didn't make you feel too good? Yeah, me too, especially at work. Sometimes the feedback we get isn't that positive. And in Toastmasters, we need to make sure, whether we're telling a speaker what they did well or what they can improve upon, that we give it in a manner that they will feel encouraged, that they'll feel empowered to make their next speech even better and more powerful. Are we ready to do that today? Yes. All right. I happen to be listening to a book on tape that I got out of the library, and the lady, Cheryl Richardson, said, I learned how to speak in public because of Toastmasters. I had no idea what Toastmasters was. What could it be? But she learned something valuable. And at that point in my life, I realized that I lacked confidence, I lacked self-esteem, and I really, really needed something to help me grow personally and professionally. I went home, I Googled Toastmasters, found out we had a meeting that night. And do you know, Larry Brown was there when I showed up that night, and because of the people in that club being so encouraging, you didn't have to come to that club with the intentions of being a public speaker in order to gain something from it. But it was mainly the people there that made me feel so welcoming and encouraged that made me come back the next week and join. I joined Toastmasters because of the people, but now I've learned that Toastmasters gave me what I needed to go a step higher, not only in my job, but even at home. And guys, you might can relate to this. When your wife comes up to you and she says, how do I look in this dress? You're going to say, thank you, Toastmasters, for those skills that I've learned to do right. And to do it in a tactful way and an encouraging. Toastmasters Club gets you from where you are right now to where you want to be. When I first joined Toastmasters, that was 6 years ago. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to be. I just knew I was sick and tired of being where I was. And I needed to be better, and I wanted to be better. Can you think back to where you were when you joined Toastmasters? What was your life like? Toastmasters takes us from where we are and takes us to where we dream we can be. Now, where I am today is not where I eventually want to end up. I think it's a journey. Do you agree? Yeah. Toastmasters is a journey. We're not where we want to be, but we're going in the right direction. And it's all because we're receiving valuable feedback in our Toastmasters clubs. Now today we're going to talk about the skills that we need to look for when we evaluate a speaker. And these skills are going to also benefit you as speakers, because this is what your evaluator will be looking for when you speak the next time. And this is how we grow. When we can build on the skills we're about to talk about, this is how we become better speakers, better evaluators, better listeners, and we become better in so many areas of our life, not just in the Toastmasters world, but outside of it. It grows our world for us. It makes it bigger, and we have more opportunities come our way. Now, this is pretty obvious. Of course, if you're a speaker, you've probably heard this. In your Confident Communicator Manual, this is one of the skills that you work on, eye contact. Can anybody tell me how long we should hold eye contact with an audience member? Any guesses?
Finish the thought.
A few seconds? And you said until we finish the thought? Anything else? Okay. I had one class that said 30 seconds. Can you imagine if I looked through your Instagram? We get uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. You would all get uncomfortable. 30 seconds is a long time. In another class, the girl said 3 to 5 seconds. I thought she said 35. 3 to 5 seconds is probably pretty good. Just a few seconds. Just long enough to complete that thought. If you can complete one complete thought with an audience member and then move over to the next, that's pretty comfortable. You don't really get uncomfortable with that. If you hold it too long, you don't want people to slink down in their seats. And then if you scan the audience where you're really not making eye contact with anybody, it's pretty distracting as an audience member to watch a speaker do that. We want to make sure we have good eye contact. Now, when you're evaluating a speaker and you're looking for that skill, what I want you to do is two things. I want you to look for the ways they use that in a good way. Did they make really good eye contact? Was it effective? Did you feel connected to that speaker because they did that skill really well? Or did they look at the ceiling the whole time? How many of you have seen speakers look up at the ceiling or down at the floor? Yeah. And you know, sometimes when we first come into Toastmasters as new speakers, we find ourselves doing that. It's just really uncomfortable. Make that connection with people. That eye contact. There really is a connection there. And as nervous speakers, sometimes we'll find ourselves looking at the ceiling, maybe not the whole time. Maybe when we're trying to formulate that next thought, we just look up to think. Or we look down at the floor because we're not comfortable. We need to get comfortable. And in order to do that, when our evaluators evaluate it, we need for them to mention to us, hey, you know, your speech would be more powerful if you would make better eye contact with the listeners. The next skill I want us to talk about is gestures and body language. Wow, this can really make a speech so much better. Have you ever seen a speaker just stand behind a lectern? I know I'm off in front of my video. But how much more boring would this be if I stood like this the whole time, hanging on for dear life? Oh, wow, you guys are probably going to sleep, right? Have you ever seen that happen? Have you ever done that? I think I have, Larry. But, you know, we teach our people to get away from this, to get outside from behind it. Now, in the business world especially, there's going to be a time when you need your notes. You don't need to rely on your notes. Get away from that thing. And come out here and use natural gestures and draw that audience in by using gestures and your other skills, like eye contact. What are some gestures that you find are really good to use? Have there been certain ones that you've seen speakers use that just really connected with you? What about when they're telling stories? You know, when a speaker's telling a story, and maybe they walk over here and they tell a story and they get really involved in it. We had a gal in our club and she talked about riding a bicycle, and she demonstrated as best she could with that bike. And you know, I remember that. And this has been last year, but that visual is still in my head. She made a connection. Think about that when you're evaluating speakers, their gestures and body language. If a speaker's talking about their 7 children, you want to make sure that their gestures match up with their words, okay? If it doesn't quite work for you, it probably didn't work for the person beside you. And particularly, if that speaker's taking a speech outside of their club, you want them to give the best speech they can. They're not just representing themselves, they're representing their club, Toastmasters. We want them to really succeed and achieve. And let's make sure we give good valuable feedback. It's one of the things that we need to work on, and this is also in your Confident Communicator Manual. You have a speech that works on that particularly. Vocal variety. Wow. What would a speech be like if we had no vocal variety? It'd be pretty boring. Can anybody tell me some of the flavors of vocal variety?
Jan likes to sing.
Yes, she does. And I was like, somebody over there said something about dancing, all right? When we were listening to the music. Would it be a bad thing to get up and sing in a speech? Just a few lines? It would really connect with the audience. It would get their attention. And you know what? Janice, you can probably sing pretty well. But let me say from experience, you don't have to sing good to make a statement in a speech. Things like that. Things out of the ordinary. We can do so much with vocal variety. And it's those little things that really make a connection and make our ears perk up and start to listen. Now, sometimes we can speak really, really quickly, and sometimes we can slow it down. And if we use that to our advantage, that can draw in audience members as well and keep them connected to us. Sometimes we speak loudly. I actually heard a speech where a speaker started with a whisper. Now, as long as every member of the audience can hear that to the back of the room, that's a great idea. You don't expect that. It's out of the ordinary. It's a good use of vocal variety. What about pauses? Does anybody need to work on the pause as much as I do? Sometimes we tend to just want to fill in all that space. The silence hurts. It's almost painful. And sometimes when we pause, we feel like it's a long, long time. But it's really not. If you work on your pauses, and a good way to do that is to audio or videotape yourself and see what you're doing. Sometimes my pauses seem so long that if I've taped it, they're like this. That's one of the skills that I really need to work on. And in my Toastmasters journey, that's what I'm focusing on right now, working on those pauses, using the vocal variety in different ways.